Mom, tell me tell me. Tell me. Tell me.
Okay. Okay, so this is the, okay, baby. Shh. This is the last lesson that you will do for me. Papito, I need you to be quiet, okay, baby? I'll play with you in a second, okay? I'm okay. So this is going to be the last lesson that we do together. Unfortunately, I know that they've been pre-recorded lessons, but this will be the last one that you do with me. After this lesson, you will have a homework quiz over homeworks 10 through 16. That will be on Monday and Tuesday. So the date would be the 14th and the 15th. So whichever class you have me for. And then also on Wednesday, Thursday, you would have a test, which is going to go into the spot that usually is your midterm test, but it's just going to be a normal test over the 3 lessons that we've done over triangles. So it's just the 3 lessons that we did after Thanksgiving break. Those are the ones you'll need to study and have out because you will get to use them on the test. If you miss the test for some reason on Wednesday or Thursday, you only have to come in on Friday into Teams to make up the test. So technically Friday is a free day for you guys for my class. As long as you take the test on Wednesday or Thursday, you don't have to log on for Friday. So I hope you're listening, because I have people who are not listening to the videos and they don't know what's going on, but I do try to inform you of what's going on at the beginning of the videos. Okay, so with that being said, this is the last lesson. There is no classwork, so if we can get this done in about 30 minutes, we'll be good, and the rest of the time you can work on the homework and getting your homework together. Okay, so put your name on it. So far, we know that we have done the unit over triangles, so that's our topic. Again, depending on which class you are, you're either watching this on Thursday, which is 12:10, or you're watching this on Friday, which is 12:11. Now, if you're in 2nd, 4th, or 7th period, you'll watch it on Thursday. So this is for Thursday classes. Or if you're in 3rd, 5th, or 8th period, you'll watch it on Friday, because they did switch the Monday. The original plan was to meet for Thursday classes this day, but because of the snow day, they actually switched that. So, assuming that everything goes the same, that's what we'll have. Okay, so we have a few things to write into our notes, but not a lot. So we're going to talk about what an isosceles triangle is. We already learned what it was, like we defined it in the very first lesson. We said isosceles triangles were triangles that had 2 sides the same. So that's what those little tick marks mean, and that's what the picture is. Now, there are some properties that you need to know for isosceles triangles, and that is that the 2 congruent sides are called legs. So in a triangle that is isosceles, they call the sides legs. Now, it's not the only triangle that uses that. You also see that in Pythagorean theorem triangles, which are right triangles. The angle where the legs intersect is called the vertex angle. We're going to label this in the picture in just a second. And unfortunately, my son is being a little bit more vocal this video, so please ignore him if you can. So what I'm talking about in this picture is right here. This is your vertex angle. Okay, this is where the 2 legs that I'm about to highlight, which hopefully I have a highlighter somewhere here. I think they're all gone. Just a second. Might be able to find one. Okay, found a yellow crayon. That'll work as well. Okay, so if I have those 2 sides that I just highlighted, those are called the legs. So this is a leg, and this is another leg. Okay, if I have those 2 legs meet up, right there, that is your vertex angle. Okay. So That's all that's saying. The side opposite the vertex angle, so I'm going to draw an arrow. They're talking about this side right here, and the side is going to be the edge, right? This side of the vertex angle is called the base. This is the base of the triangle. The angles along the base are called base angles, and I'll point to those in just a second. Okay, so we're doing a lot of defining here. Okay, so this right here is your base, and angle 2 and angle 3, both of these are called base angles. Now you don't have to label it in the picture. I'm just trying to show you what we just wrote over here, how we can see that in the picture. Okay, now let's talk about a theorem that is always true. And as long as you memorize these, this will help you some issues for when you get stuck and when you're solving for things. It's very simple. If it's an isosceles triangle, there's a few tricks you can do. Okay, so an isosceles triangle theorem. If two sides of a triangle are congruent, so if they tell you that these two yellow sides I marked are congruent, then its opposite, or the angles, sorry, then the angles opposite those sides are congruent, okay? So what that is saying is, in this picture here, if I told you that these two sides are congruent, then I'm also telling you that angle A is congruent to angle C. Okay, so that's what this theorem is saying. So if these two sides I marked are congruent, then angle A and angle C are congruent as well, because those are the base angles. Okay, now let's read the next one. If two angles of a triangle are congruent, like these two right here, then the sides opposite those angles are congruent. Okay, so this is going backwards. What if I told you that the two angles on the bottom were congruent, but I didn't mark anything on the sides? Well, as long as you know that the angles are congruent, then the sides are congruent. So in this case, AB would be congruent to BC. And again, if you're at home and you're typing this in, try your best to write it out. You know, you don't have to find the symbol. You can say angle A is congruent to angle C. You know, you could write it out in words instead of having to worry about getting those symbols. Okay. And then once we actually like put it into play, it'll make more sense. Basically, it's saying you can go back and forth, vice versa. You can either be given two sides congruent and therefore the angles are congruent, or you can be given the angles and you can go backwards because there's a converse, and that's what converse means. Okay, so we're going to move on. So we've got the mumbo jumbo of the words kind of already written down. Let's actually try to apply this. Okay, so angle J is right here. We want to know what that value is. And this is what they've given me. I'm going to highlight the things that they give me that are congruent. They said this side and this side are congruent. How do I know? Because of the tick marks. If those two sides are congruent, then you automatically know that the angles that form the base are also congruent. So if this is 68, this is 68. So I've got one answer there. How am I going to find angle K? Well, it's very simple. Hopefully you haven't forgotten from our very first lesson, or our second lesson, sorry, that all of triangles, regardless of the size or the shape that it forms, as long as they're triangles, then they're always going to add up to 180. So if I want to know angle K, all I have to do is 180 minus 68 minus 68. Subtract those out and you get 44. That is your answer for angle K. Okay, so that's all you do. So one of them will be the same as the base. The other you subtracted from 180. So when it looks like this, that's what you do. Okay, let's move on. Once again, they have told me that two sides are congruent because of the tick marks. I know this. Now, they didn't give us the one on the bottom. If they had given us the one on the bottom, then these two are congruent. So whatever this is, this one is. And then boom, I'm done. They didn't give me that one. So how am I going to find what what those two corners are if all they gave me was 106? First thing I'm going to do, because I know that all three corners add up to 180, So I'm going to take 180 and I'm going to subtract 106. Now I'm going to stop here. So first 180 minus 100 is 80 minus 6 is 74. So there's my number, 74. This is not my answer for both of them. So I'm going to stop here and let you think about it. Pause maybe the video, see if you think you know what you're supposed to do next, because I'm about to tell you. Okay, so they didn't give me each one. They gave me what both of these are together. So together they add up to 74. If I know that these two are supposed to be the same and I know they add up to 74, my next step is to half them. So I'm going to divide them by 2 because these two are supposed to be the same. So if both of them together are 74, if I half them, now I have the same number. So 74 divided by 2 will be 37. So this one is 37, this one is 37. So I'm going to very quickly write this out. First, subtract number from 180. Okay, so that's what we did. First, subtract number, and that word is from. I know it's a little bit hard to see. I'm going to rewrite it. Okay, there's still a glare there, but that says from. There we go. Okay, that looks a little bit better. So first, subtract number from 180, then half number. Okay, so half number means to divide by 2. So half the number. Okay, those are the steps for it. So now that you know how to do that, when it looks like this shape right here, where they give you that top angle instead of the base angle, then you're going to first subtract it from 180. Then after that, you half the number. Okay, so angle C is 37, angle E is 37. How can you check your work on these numbers? Add all 3 numbers up that you get. You should always get 180. So if I take 37 plus 37 plus 106, I get 180. If I take, I thought this one was 44, so if I take 44, 68, and 68 and add them up, I get 180. So that's how you can kind of check your work on them. Okay, let's look at another one. What if instead of giving me the sides, they gave me 2 angles congruent? So they didn't give me the sides, but they told me that the 2 base angles are congruent. Remember, this is the converse. If the angles are congruent, then these sides are congruent. So if that's 12 centimeters, this is 12 centimeters. Okay, so keep that in mind. So now YZ is 12 centimeters. Now they've asked me for this one, and it's not centimeters, it's an angle. So on this one, we're gonna have to play around with the 180. Well, to find the missing number, you do 180 minus 77 minus 77, and that gives you 26. So this is 26 degrees. Okay, so now obviously we're going to get into some algebra work because it gets to be a little bit harder. So if you need to pause the video there to copy anything down or take a picture, go ahead and do that. I'm going to move on to the algebraic questions on here. Okay, so now we're going to find each variable that they have in there. They're all just x's, so all we have to do is find x. We don't have to plug anything in, so not too difficult, and they're all whole number answers. So if you want to jump ahead and try to work some of these out, you can. If you want to pause it here and then see what you get. Okay, they told me these 2 are congruent. I know that because of the tick marks. If those 2 are congruent, then these 2 angles are congruent. So what can I do to the 2 equations? Set them equal to each other. So 5x plus 9 is equal to 8x minus 30. I'm going to combine my like terms. So I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. Then I have 9 is equal to 3x minus 30. I add 30 to both sides. I get 39 is equal to 3x, divide by 3. X is equal to 13. Okay, that's my answer, and that's it. So I don't have to plug this back in. Okay. Same thing we just did. So if you want to play around with it, pause it here and see if you can set up the next problem. It's exactly the same way we did this one. Okay, once again, the 2 sides are the same, therefore these 2 are the same. So here's my setup. 4x plus 7 is equal to 9x minus 33. I'm going to combine my like terms, so I move my smaller x towards the larger x. 7 is equal to, this is going to be 5x minus 33. Add 33 to both sides. We get 40 is equal to 5x, divide by 5. And if you know your times tables, then you should know this one is just 8. Okay, then we have the next one. So the next one, they didn't give us sides, but they told us these two corners are the same. They didn't even give us a value, but they gave us the marks. As long as the marks are there, then that means they're the same. Okay, so if those two are the same, then these two are equal. So if these two are equal, here's my setup. 15x plus 7 is equal to 23x minus 17, and then solve. So very simple to do. Okay, so minus 15x minus 15x. Then I have 7 is equal to 23 minus 15. It's going to be 8x. And then minus 17. Add 17 to both sides. 14. So this is going to be 24 is equal to 8x. Divide by 8. And again, if you know your times tables, this is just 3. Okay. Last one, what if instead of giving me marks, they give me values? Well, if this is 74 and this is 74, then I'm saying that these are equal. And as long as the base angles are equal, then the two sides are equal. So here's my setup. 9x minus 73 is equal to 3x plus 23. Okay. Now, again, you definitely want calculators for these if you can't do them in your head. Most of these have been pretty friendly. Maybe the 39 you didn't know, but most of these you could probably do in your head. Again, everybody who is not virtual has been assigned a calculator. I left that on the desk for everyone to be assigned one. Just grab up and get one. If you don't know your number, get one towards the end. That way you don't steal someone's number. But I don't want anybody saying they don't have a calculator to use the rest of the year. And then also, if you're at home, you have different apps or you have the computer you can use the calculator for. So everybody has a chance to use a calculator. Okay, so now this one has some bigger numbers. That's why I was mentioning the calculator use here. 9 minus 3 is going to be 6x minus 73 is equal to 23. Now you're going to add 73 to both sides. 6x is equal to 7, 8, 9, 96. Divide by 6. Now again, bigger number, probably need a calculator for this one. X is equal to 16. Okay, let me move that a little bit over so you can see that completely. Now all of 1 through 7 is filled out. If you need to take a picture, go ahead and do that before we move on to the final part, which is on the back. And then after that, we're done. I'll discuss a little bit about what's on your homework, and we're officially done after that. Okay, so let's move on to the back. Okay, so starting with number 8, what if they don't give you a picture? Again, I have this nifty thing where I can make a picture. And since I know that we're covering equilateral triangles, now I know specifically which one I need to draw. I need to draw an equilateral triangle. So, sorry, not equilateral, I said that wrong. That's actually the next part. I need to draw an isosceles triangle. This is an equilateral because all of them are the same because they all have a tick mark. And then this one is isosceles because this one has 2 tick marks, 2 tick marks, and this one has 1. So that means these two sides are the same. So this is the one that I need. And again, there are different types of triangles on here, but I'm picking the one that is isosceles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and draw an isosceles in all 3 of these. And again, you don't have to do this step. This is something that if you don't want the picture, you don't have to do it. I do like the picture, so I'm going to do it. Okay, since this is actually pretty large, I'm going to draw it this way. Put my tick mark right on the edge. I'll go back in and fill it in a second, but I'm actually making it a little bit smaller. I don't want to draw the full size equilateral. Okay, So now I'm just going to close up my equilateral because the one on my template was way too large to use. Okay, so I'm going to close these in just a little bit. And that one's closed in. Okay, so I've got my 3 equilaterals. Now we're going to read what's given, and if you can do it without drawing in the triangle, you don't have to. And again, you can freehand it. It's not a big deal. If you can't make it, perfect on there, it's okay. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw in the information, and then we're going to go from there. So in triangle RST, RT and ST are congruent. Now this is important because you need to know what this vertex angle is. This is your vertex angle, this one at the top. It's where the 2 congruent sides meet. So I'm going to make that nice and heavy so you know that that's the vertex angle. Okay, how do I know what the vertex angle? Here's the clue. Look at the letter that repeats. RT, ST. They're both meeting up at T. So there's your big hint of how to label this. So this is going to be a T up here. So this is going to be R, S, and then T has to go at the top. Okay, so let's check that out. RT is congruent to ST. So right there. Does that make sense? Okay, the measure of angle R is 9x plus 2. Okay, since my triangle is not too large, I am going to use arrows to point to the corners. Okay, the measure of angle S, and here's angle S, is 13x minus 18. Okay, and then the measure of angle T, so this one up here, is 17x plus 1. Now, I definitely like to see the triangle. If I tried to do this in my head, I would mess up and I would not know how to get these answers. So I need to visually see this information. Now, after I see this picture drawn out, I know exactly how to set up this problem. Okay, so remember, all 3 corners, because these are angles, always add up to 180. So all I have to do is take this, plus this, and set it equal to 180. Now it has 2 steps. First find x, then plug it in to find all 3 angles. Okay, so I have 17x plus 1 plus 9x plus 2 plus 13x minus 18 is all equal to 180. First, I'm going to combine my like terms on the left side. So I'm going to take 17 plus 9 plus 13. Okay, first I'm going to add the 13 and the 7. It's going to give me 30, and then 9 more is going to give me 39. This is not the only way to get this answer, but this is one of the ways I can get the answer. Okay, so this is 30x plus. Now the next one is actually going to be minus, now that I see it, so let me fix that. Okay, so I have 1 plus 2. And that gives me 3, pretty simple to do. Then I also have a minus 18. So basically I have negative 18 and then positive 3. So what you do is you subtract 3 from it and then it stays negative. So negative 15 equals 180. Now, again, this is not the only way to do this. It's just the way I'm working this out. Okay, I'm going to add 15 to both sides. 30x is equal to 195 divided by 30. X is equal to, check my calculator out for this one. Let's see, 195 divided by 30. It's going to give me 6.5. So there's something wrong. Did I add something wrong? No. Let's try it again. 9. Let's make sure I didn't make a mistake. Plus 13 plus 17 is 39. Oh, I wrote it wrong. I said it right. I said this was going to be 39, but I wrote it wrong. So this is being divided by 39, not by 30. Okay, so 195 divided by 39. Yes, that looks right. And then that should give you an even number, which is 5, not some decimal number. Okay, so now my next step is to go back through and plug this in because, again, they want each answer. So x is equal to 5. And then now we have to plug it in for angle T. So this is going to be 17, or actually I should start with angle R because that's what's in the blank. That way I don't mess up. Okay, so angle R down here is going to be 9 parentheses 5 plus 2. Now this one you can do in your head. That should be 45 plus 2. That's 47. Okay, next one, angle S. Now if you're smart, you remember that these two are supposed to be the same. So technically you should know that this is supposed to be 47. I would go ahead and plug it in because this is going to check to make sure you did it right. Okay, so this next one is 13 parentheses 5 minus 18. Okay, so 13 times 5 should be 65, minus 10 is going to be 55, then minus 8 is going to be that 47. Okay, so that checks out. And then the last one you plug in is angle T, and this is 17 times 5 plus 1. Now I would probably grab my calculator for this one because it's a little bit harder to do. 17 times 5 is 85, and then you just add 1, that's 86. Okay, so you have all three answers there. Okay, next one. So in this one they said you have a triangle DEF. Angle D and E are congruent. So there's your hint. D and E are congruent. So they're not saying anything about sides in this one. They're telling you that your two bases are D and E. How do you know they go in that spot? Because that's how we've been drawing them. So this one has to be D and this one has to be E because they're congruent. So then that means the only letter left over is F at the top. Okay? Now they gave us some values. DE, this part down here on the bottom, is x plus 4. EF, this part here on the side, is 4x minus 8. And then the last one, DF, is 7x minus 35. Okay, we have our values written in. Now, there's only two that we need to use because one of them is extra information. So, Dale, hush, baby. Sorry. So we have these two that we need to set equal to each other. I don't need to do anything with the x plus 4 until I need to plug it in. Okay, but I don't need it for when I'm setting up my problems because these two are equal. With that being said, we could have done the top one differently. We could have set these two equal to each other and still gotten 5, and it would have been a shorter problem. So there's different ways to solve for this one. At the top. Now on this one, the only way you can solve for it is if you know that these two angles are equal, then you know that these two sides are equal. They throw you off by putting x plus 4, ignore it for now. So here's my setup. 7x minus 35 is equal to 4x minus 8, and we're going to solve. Okay, minus 4x minus 4x. 3x minus 35 is equal to negative 8. Add 35 to both sides. So I'm running out of space. So 3x is equal to 27. So after you do that, you get 27. Divide by 3, and x is equal to 9. Once again, you don't just get 9. You have to plug it back in. So here's the first answer, and then I need to plug it into DE. I need to plug it into EF, and I need to plug it into DF. Okay, DE was the one we ignored at the beginning, so that's going to be 9 plus 4. Should be able to do that. That's just going to be 13. Okay, next one, EF. EF was this one. This is 4 times 9 minus 8. 4 times 9 is 36. Minus 8 is going to be 28. And then the last one, DF, is 7 times 9 minus 35. So that's going to be 7 times 9 is 63, minus 30 is going to be 33, and then minus 5 is going to be 28. And that these should be the same, so that checks out. Okay, so there we have that. We're going to do one last one over isosceles triangles, and then after that we move on to equilateral, which is not too bad because those properties are pretty easy to see. Okay, Teo, salte de ahí. Gracias. Okay, so now our last one. If you have a triangle WXY and WX is congruent to WY. So again, pay attention to the letter that repeats. The letter that repeats is W, so this one has to be W. ¿Te lo quito, bebé?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, give me just a second. You're a good doctor, aren't you? There you go, baby. Okay, so this one has to be W because that's the letter that repeats. So then down here, this one has to be X, and the other one has to be Y. Okay, so now that you know that, let's look at what they said. They said WX, so this one here is congruent to WY. So we can put these tick marks in. Then they said angle W, so I'm going to point to it, is X plus 6. They also said that angle X, this one down here, is 5X minus 12. And then finally, they said this one here is 7X minus 48. Okay, same instructions, find X and find the measure of each one. So just to switch it up, I am going to solve this one a little bit differently just to show you there's more than one way to solve number 8. So if you want to do this the same way you did number 8, go for it. You're going to take all 3 parts, set them equal to 180, and then after that, plug it into each one to get your value. So nothing different than what we did on number 8. But there is a shorter method. So this is the way we would have done it if you didn't know anything about isosceles triangles. Since we do know that in a triangle that is isosceles, which means these two sides are the same, not only are those two sides the same, the two angles are the same. So I can make this a easier problem instead of this long problem set equal to 180. I could also just take this equal to this, and it'll be a shorter problem. So if you remember that, you don't even have to pay attention to the x plus 6. You're going to say 5x minus 12 is equal to 7x minus 48. Solve for x that way. So this is a different way to do number 10, but you could also work it out the way we did 8. Okay, so with some smaller numbers, we're going to do negative 12 is equal to 2x minus 48. Then we're going to add 48 to both sides. We're going to get 36 is equal to 2x, divide by 2, x is equal to 18. Now, if you work it out the other way, the way we did it on the top, you should still get the same answer, so you should still be getting 18. Okay, so there's my first one. Now we have to plug it in for w, we have to plug it in for x, and we have to plug it in for y. All we're going to do now is take our 18 plus 6, and again, that's something you could do in your head. That's going to be 24. Then for x, I'm going to take 5 times 18 minus 12. Probably grab a calculator for this one. This one's going to give me 78. And then the last one, 7 times 18 minus 48 is once again going to give me 78. So those two should be the same. So you know you did it right if you get the same number. Okay, I'm going to pause it right here if you want to take a picture of these 3. These are the 3 on the back that have to do with isosceles. And then we're going to move on to the last one, which is equilateral. Okay, take a second to do that. And then now we're going to move on to the last part. Okay. Okay, so here is the last one. So equilateral triangles. So we have 3 problems left, and we have to define what an equilateral triangle is. Again, we already learned this before when we classified them, but an equilateral triangle is when all 3 sides are the same. So an equilateral triangle, a triangle, sorry, is equilateral if and only if it is equal angular. So not only are the sides the same, the corners have to be the same. So this is a given. All 3 sides are the same, all 3 angles are the same every time. If you have three angles the same, you automatically have three sides. If you have three sides, you automatically have three angles. So that's just something to say. Okay, so if angle A is equal to angle B is equal to angle C, then using this picture, AB is congruent to BC, congruent to AC. Basically, I'm telling you all the sides are the same. Okay, then if AB, and I guess I should keep it the same way that they wrote it. They didn't write it with the congruent symbol. They just wrote it with the equal sign. So just so it's consistent, let's write it with the equal sign. Okay, so AB is equal to BC is equal to AC. Well, what if they told you AB was congruent to BC and it was congruent to AC? What if they told you the sides were the same? Then automatically you know that angle A is equal to angle B is equal to angle C. Okay, so now that we know that, we're going to play around with a few numbers and see what we get. If this is 60 and this is 60 and they're the same, how do I find this missing corner? Well, you would do 180 minus 60 minus 60, and that's actually going to give you 60. So now you know that all three corners are 60. If all three corners are 60, that means they're all the same. And if all of the angles are the same, then all of the sides are the same. So if this is 9 feet, this is 9 feet, this is 9 feet. So now that we know that, I can say that this is 60 degrees for the angle, BC is 9 feet, and AC is 9 feet. Very simple to do. Okay, what if I tell you these three tick marks here are present? That means all three sides are the same. So if that's 24 centimeters, this is 24 centimeters, this is 24 centimeters. And then now here's the tricky part. How do I know what each corner is if they don't give me any number? So we did this before already in the previous notes, but basically you take 180 and you divide it by 3 because you need 3 equal angles. Well, that number is never going to change. It's always going to be 60. So as long as you know that all three sides are the same, you automatically know that they're all going to be 60. So now that we know that, angle J is 60, angle K is 60, angle L is 60. So all of these are 60 degrees. We didn't actually need the 24 written. Okay, last one. So they gave us a picture, which is great. So they said it's an equilateral triangle. They are telling you this, okay? Since you know that, now you have to solve for X and for Y. So there's going to be two sets of work here. So first let's work with one variable and then we work with the other. Okay, how do I know which one to work with? Well, if you have X's, if you have 2 X's or 3 X's, you work with those first. If you have Y's, you work with those. You don't want to cross anything. So you don't want to set Y equal to X, basically. Okay, this is 7X minus 3. So I'm going to write that down. I'm going to look for anything else that has an X. Nothing else has an X, but I know that this is talking about a corner. Hopefully you remember, because we just set it up here, but anytime you have an equilateral triangle, then it's automatically equal angular, and the number of each corner will always be 60 degrees. So you're going to set that little equation equal to 60. We solve, and then we're done. For X, okay, so I add 3 to both sides. 7X is equal to 63. We used this number earlier. 63 divided by 7 is 9. Okay, so that one's done. Now let's work with Y. There's actually several ways to do this. If this is an equilateral, that means every single side is congruent. So you can pick any of them to set equal to each other. Just 2 of them, actually. So not all 3, but 2 of them to set equal to each other, and then you have it. So there's more than one way to get this answer. You should get the same answer, but I'm just going to pick this one and this one just because they're the ones kind of at the top. And I'm going to set them equal to each other. So we have 14y minus 59 is equal to 9y plus 1. Now you could set these two equal to each other. You could set these two equal to each other. So there's more than one equation that you could have used, which we saw when we worked out 8 and 10, 2 different ways. Okay, we're going to solve and get our answers. So first I'm going to subtract 9y. So that gives me 5y, or sorry, that should be minus 59 is equal to 1. Then I add 15 on to both sides. 5y is equal to 60. And then finally, I divide by 5, and hopefully you know this one, y is just 12. Okay, pretty simple to do, nothing too hard. This is the last lesson. We're officially done with the last lesson. Take a picture if you need to of this. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you the last homework that you have, and then once again remind you about the homework quiz that we have next week. Okay, this is the last homework that you will be doing for me. And again, depending on your teacher, which should be, hopefully you know by now, but I don't know if you do or not, it is going to be Miss Beatty. She is going to take over my classes, kind of like Miss Bishop took over Miss Wilson's classes. So she will be integrating you guys. I'm pretty sure they'll talk to you guys, but more than likely you'll be going to her classroom. I don't know if they'll keep you in my classroom and have you watch through your computer, but I doubt it. The whole point is that you have a teacher there. So I'm pretty sure they're going to make you start migrating towards B-Pod instead of this area of the classroom. So with that in mind, this is the last official homework that I will be giving you. I'm not sure how she will be presenting the material, but I'm hoping she keeps the lesson to be about the same. I will leave her everything, so hopefully she just continues from this, but she might be teaching her own style. She might have her own notes and her own things to work on. But with this being the last one, let's talk about what I expect you guys to have. So I'm going to go ahead and put a due date on this. So due date. Again, depending on when you got this will be when the due date is. So for my Monday, Wednesday classes, the due date is actually going to be on Monday, which is the 14th. For my Tuesday, Thursday classes, yours is going to be due on Tuesday, which is the 15th. Okay, sorry, let me show you everything. Why is it due this way? Because you will have homework quiz on Monday, 12:14, or on Tuesday, 12:15. So whichever class you have, obviously. And the homeworks are numbers 10 through 16. Okay, I'm going to pick questions from, I'm going to rewrite that 16, from all of those homeworks. That's how I'm going to be checking that you did these homeworks. So if you have not done those homeworks, you need to have them done by these 2 dates right here. Okay, depending on the class period. So what that will look like, and I've said this every time, but people have skipped over it, so I'm going to say it one more time. I will ask really simple questions like, when is the due date? I will ask how many questions are on the homework. So if I ask that for number 16, there's 15 questions. I'm going to ask a couple of questions from each homework where I'm going to say, what's the answer to number 1? You know, something like that. Just because I do want to see if you did them right. But I'm obviously going to pick questions that I thought were easy enough for you to do on your own, not the ones that I would consider bonus questions, because those you struggled with and I wasn't in the classroom to help you with them. So with that being said, make sure you get them done as much as you can. If it was a really complicated question, more than likely it's not going to be asked. Have all your homeworks in order, and then on Monday or Tuesday, depending on the class, I will give you a Microsoft Forms quiz that you will answer. If you have everything in order, it's not going to take you very long to do the quiz, and the rest of the time you can study for your test that's going to be the next class period. If you don't have everything in order, you're going to waste most of the time trying to get your homeworks in order, trying to get some of it done, and it might take you the full period. So it just depends on how organized you are. Okay, so I have a few questions from homework 15, I believe, so I'll be helping some with those. Still reach out to me if you have questions. I'm still putting in grades. I've been putting in grades into the assignments, returning in zeros and putting grades in there, and then I have to put them into Skyward. So right now, if you see a notification from Teams that you have a grade in, it might not be in Skyward yet, but I'm writing it down and then I'm going back and I'm putting it into Skyward. Some of you guys are making up quizzes. I will be reaching out to you guys throughout the break and trying to get you guys to make up quizzes, to make up tests, just to make up those zeros, and I'll try to say, hey, take a picture of it, do it on paper, do it on the computer. So I will be reaching out to you guys, trying to get you to get those zeros to be made up. I know I've had some questions over grades. I'm trying to get on track of it too. It's just taking longer because when everybody was virtual before, you know, I have people turning in assignments still, some online, some are not online, and I have to search everywhere. So it's just taking a while, but I am getting it done. They will be entered. Keep in mind that report cards, official grades are not due until January. I don't remember the date exactly. It was like January the 8th or something. So we have plenty of time to get this work in, but some of you guys are going to close that computer and not open it up all Christmas break. So I am trying to get on top of it so you guys don't have to worry about those over Christmas break. Okay, so we're going to move on. We're done. Study for your test on Wednesday, Thursday. If you come in, well, I mean, we're virtual. As long as you don't do your test by Wednesday, Thursday, you do not have to do anything for Friday. So I'm leaving nothing for Friday. But if you did miss the test, I want you to reach out to me and I'll send you the link again on Friday. Okay, so that is it. Good luck. I've been really grateful to have you guys, and I hope you guys stay safe. It is getting really bad out there with COVID. I know people personally that have it. My sister-in-law has had it. My brother has it. My oldest brother has it, and he's actually in the hospital for it because he suffers through asthma. My dad got tested. My other brother got tested because they think he might have it. So, you know, just stay on top of it, stay safe, take it seriously, and hopefully, you know, we get through this pretty quickly and we get that vaccine and everything works out. But you guys are exposed a lot. You guys go to school, so, you know, try to be responsible and do what you're supposed to, and, you know, try not to provoke anything that you don't need to. So I've enjoyed having you guys in class. I hope you've enjoyed me the first, you know, semester that I've been here. I will be back next school year, but the rest of the school year you guys are with your new teacher. But please reach out to me for Q1 and Q2 questions. If it's over grades, I am updating those, but I will be willing to help you guys bump up your grades to, you know, whatever you need to get to passing or to be able to do credit recovery and things like that. Okay, so we're officially done. Good luck with the rest of the year. Keep in mind these two assignments here. We will not have any more videos, but I will be leaving instructions on Microsoft Teams. And then since I won't be seeing you guys anymore or listening to you guys anymore, or you won't be listening to me, have a good Christmas break and enjoy your time off.